Hello, my name is Dave Maslowski. This is my Unit 3 PowerPoint presentation for American state and local politics with Professor Peter Trezat. So we're going to go down a little breakdown of Montana politics today. And what we'll go over is the basis for Montana's government structure laid out by Montana's Constitution. We'll describe Montana's political parties, where they come from. We'll talk about the balance of power and so the makeup of those as it is currently. And we'll talk about kind of a current event issue, something going on in Montana right now, and that's Montana's new congressional seat. So Montana's government structure is laid out in Montana's Constitution. Our first Constitution was ratified in 1889, the first year, the same year that Montana became a state. And the second and the current Constitution was ratified in 1972 after the formation of a constitutional convention. So diving into Montana's political parties, there are currently 3 qualified political parties. It's the Democratic, Republican, and Libertarian parties. To be a qualified political party in the state of Montana, one must have had a candidate in one of the last 2 general elections and has received 5% of the votes for the last gubernatorial candidate. If you don't have that, you can petition for signature gathering, and you must gather the 5% of voters for whatever position you're seeking on the ballot. So the structure within each political party, as you can kind of tell, they're fairly similar, with consisting of a state chair, a vice chair, secretary, treasurer, and committee members. The way you go about electing them is a little bit different. And while there's some differences there, what these parties do is really decide their party platform, and then also the criteria or what it takes to earn an endorsement for the party. So you can put that nice little R or D or L behind your name if you're running for office. So Montana's legislative breakdown. The House of Representatives chamber, it's made up of 100 members. They're elected every 2 years for 2-year terms. The Senate is made up of 50 members. We elect half each year, or every 2 years, and they serve 4-year terms. In 1992, Montanans essentially tried to pass some term limits for these positions. What the language says in there is you're limited to 8 years in one office in any 16-year period. But what this doesn't prevent is serving 4 terms in the House of Representatives for 8 years, and then switching over to the Senate to serve 2 terms. And that is the most common practice here in Montana, and how politicians get around the term limit statute. So as far as the balance of power in the Montana legislature, in the House of Representatives, we have 67 Republicans, 33 Democrats. In the Senate, 31 Republicans, 19 Democrats, and our governor is also Republican. In 2020, Republicans really swept the election, and so for the first time ever, they've held all 3 of these chambers at the same time. As far as Montana's elections and primaries, Montana is an open primary state, which means I, as an individual, get to decide which party's primary I get to vote. So I can choose to vote the Republican primary or the Democratic primary. It is completely up to me, and I can do that separate of my voting in the general election. One of the biggest issues that's facing Montana right now, and it's kind of interesting to watch it, is after the 2020 census numbers came out, Montana is poised to and will gain a second House seat in Congress. Now that may not seem like a lot, with states like California having 53 representatives to Congress, but Montana is going to have 2, and that's a big deal for us. But what this does is it brings up a lot of conversations about districting, as well as gerrymandering. So gerrymandering would be, you know, adjusting those divide lines for your district so that one party could, you know, potentially stay in power. So there was an article that came out, you know, prior to us knowing whether we were getting this seat, and it asked, you know, what impact could this have on the future of Montana, and how might somebody divide Montana fairly into two districts? Now, Montana has a redistricting commission that is standing, and it has submitted on this slide, on the gerrymandering slide, these 9 maps for consideration. So it's kind of neat to see it play out in real time. Is very, very interesting, and you can kind of already see how some of the maps are pretty obviously trying to gather different demographics for a certain party. So the real question is, you know, can we make a fair decision for these two districts in a time when we're more divided than ever? And I suppose time will tell. So, thank you.